Schwab Advisor Services is a proud supporter of the RIA Edge podcast and independent financial advisors like you. When it comes to your independence, Schwab Advisor Services is all in. They provide industry-leading custody services with no AUM minimums, no custody fees, and digital onboarding for starters. With Schwab, you'll be backed by some of the most passionate folks in the industry with over 35 years of experience helping firms of all sizes. To learn more about everything Schwab can do for you, visit advisorservices.schwab.com. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the RIA Edge podcast. This podcast, as you know, is my chance to speak to the leaders of client-facing registered investment advisory firms that are growing quickly, as many of them are, but doing so in a way that we think will be sustainable going forward, even if the equity markets take a downward turn. In other words, these firms are growing by design and not by default, and we try to get an understanding of how and why these executives are making the decisions that they are to execute on their growth strategies. In this episode, we had a chance to sit down with Andree Mohr, the president of Integrated Partners, an advisory platform for affiliated advisors with some $18 billion in AUA. Andree worked her way up at the company, working alongside founder Paul Sagany for about a decade before taking the leadership role in April of 2024 at the age of 35. So this is definitely a next-gen industry leader to watch. We spoke about Integrated and their plans for future expansion on the sidelines of the recent MarketCounsell Summit in Las Vegas in December. And here is the conversation. We're here at the MarketCounsell Summit.
We are. Yeah. Great to be here.
How is the conference going for you so far?
It's going great. Yeah. It's awesome to connect with people that I haven't seen in a while. I think this is a great networking event. So it's been great. Thank you for having me.
Any kind of themes that you're seeing here that resonate with you and don't want to put you on the spot?
That's totally great. Theme for sure, I think everybody would say is probably AI and technology. So checked out the Invent Village, walked around, talked to a couple of people there. That's something that we as a firm are actually very excited about. So, but definitely AI and then an underlying theme of personalization and advisors leveraging their time so they can personalize the experience with their clients.
Yep. Efficiency, personalization at scale.
Yep.
These are the words we hear.
These are our new buzzwords, right?
Yeah. I don't sort of know so new anymore. I don't know. I've been hearing them for a while. I think personalization at scale, I think, has been around for a while. But we're getting there, right? We're getting there.
We are getting there. We like to talk about things for a while and then we get there. Yeah.
So for the folks who are listening to us who maybe don't know or aren't as familiar with the firm, give us the backstory. I think most people know it, but from your perspective, give us the one-on-one and Integrated.
Great. I would be happy to. So we are known for helping the entrepreneurial-minded advisor build the business of their dreams, ideally through partnering them with a CPA firm so they can move up what we would call the complexity curve and work with high net worth and business owner clients. We find that partnership is a win-win-win for the advisors, the CPA, and the end client because we are bringing coordination to the lives of our end clients through what we do. So it's really actually a very fun and exciting time for us right now because given where the wealth space is and the CPA industry is, partnership and collaboration has never been more important. And so it's a really unique time for advisors who want to focus on organic growth to really dive into that.
So this was Paul Sagany started the firm.
He did, yes.
And he was a CPA, or he came out of the accounting world, right? He had some presence in the accounting world.
So Paul started his career at Cigna, and back in '96 in Massachusetts was one of the first states to allow for CPAs to receive revenue to refer business to a financial advisor. And Paul was doing really complex planning for wirehouses and said the only thing that was tough about that was that the wirehouse would then go and take the ongoing AUM. So he said, well, where can I find a referral source that I can be involved in the ongoing AUM? And he then said, there's an opportunity to monetize a CPA's most trusted advisor status. And so he started the firm with one CPA firm and one advisor, and then one advisor and one CPA firm, and saw the power of that symbiotic relationship and has grown the business from there. So we've always stayed very true to our holistic financial planning roots and our partnership and collaboration with CPAs.
I think he's once described it as sort of the Intel inside, right? A CPA, like the wealth planning unit kind of inside the CPA.
It is. Yeah. It's the wealth planning, but as everybody knows, so many tax planning solutions need a wealth management implementation.
Sure.
And without that coordination, you're constantly saying to your client, you should do this or you should do that, or it's just not a clean process. So we're able to talk to our CPAs. Here's the problems that we solve. They're saying, hey, I got this client with this problem. They're doing a very personalized introduction saying, hey, you have this problem. This person is the best at solving that problem. Go talk to them. And then we're allowing for a better solution to the client because we are both open and honest and talking to each other.
Yeah, it's a unique growth story in a way. I think, most advisors don't take this path, right?
Yes.
It's a good one. And I think to his credit, probably requires a little bit of humility, right? To be able to say, I'm not going to be the one who's going to be in front of the client. I'm going to help that CPA, right? Kind of do the work in the background.
Yeah, it takes for sure humility and pivoting and adjustments. Like we always say to our CPA partners, we are guests in your home. And so how do you build a relationship and a business with somebody who also has a separate core business? And that's just through delivering a lot of value up front. So definitely it can tend to be the harder approach at the beginning, because you also have to learn how do CPAs think? How do they talk? What are the things that they care about? Because they are different than the things we care about. We talk a lot about AUM. They talk about revenue. So you've got to intentionally shift your language to be a really good partner with a CPA. And it does take work, but it can obviously, reap a lot of rewards if you take the time and you do it right.
Yeah. So we should say at the front that you were just appointed the president of the firm.
Yes, I was.
You've been there though for about 10 years, right? I mean, so
yes.
you which is probably the majority of your professional life.
Yes,
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you saw it in the early stages. You were there on the ground floor. Do you remember anything about those years when he was starting out or when you were starting out and the firm was smaller than it is now and kind of getting traction in this growth story? Some of the hurdles that you had to encounter that you maybe weren't anticipating, or were there they talk about building the plane while you're flying it, but I mean were there things that happened that were kind of surprises to you on this road that you kind of had to pivot or make a decision one way or the other?
Yeah, I mean, so we are geared towards entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs want to be entrepreneurs, and many of them have what I like to call the shiny object syndrome, and I want to try this or I want to do that. And our whole thing was not to tell people what to do, but to support them in their business. And we early on recognized, this is going to be hard, because now we have 212 advisors and 200 CPAs that all do something completely different. And so how do you support that number of businesses at scale? And so that's been a unique challenge for us. And sometimes we look back and we're like, well, it would have been easier to do it where we kind of got everybody on the same path, but it wouldn't have the same passion that it does. And it wouldn't have the same culture that it does. We just got together for some of our regional meetings, and our advisors are so excited to see each other win and share stories and things like that, and learn and grow from each other. So we wouldn't have done it any other way. But we did look back and we said, okay, this is a little operationally difficult because we made it so complex. So that's one of the things we're working on now.
I guess it doesn't go away, right? I mean, no. And that's probably where the humility comes in too, right? I mean, you can still learn new tricks, still learn new ways to do things.
You definitely can. And I think that's where the insurgence of technology, specifically AI, where we are so excited, because it will help us to expedite a lot of what we do, allowing for us to get back to our planning and, coaching and mentoring roots in the support of our advisors and CPAs.
And so, we talked a lot about in this space anyway, advisors and the RIA side, expanding service offerings, right? The whole story. Investment portfolio commoditized, got to do more for the value for the client. So bringing in estate planning, bringing in taxes, bringing in, whatever it might be, different services that you guys had a little bit of a different approach that kind of went the other way, right? It's like you started with the CPA, you start with the tax, and then bring in the money, which is interesting. But I'm wondering if you have, just from the number of advisors that you talk to, thoughts on how advisors are doing at this in general. Not just necessarily at your place, but in general, how advisors are doing at this integrating additional services onto their platforms.
I would say in general, they're not doing as well as they think they are doing.
Okay.
Because they don't have the time to go deep. So a lot of people are offering and talking to clients about estate planning or charitable planning, but they're not spending the time to go deep to implement solutions that are uniquely solving the challenges that client is facing. And industry studies will tell you that clients also feel that way, that the value that they're getting from their advisor versus what they want or the perception of it is not in alignment.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think advisors need to start paying attention to. Like, what is the job that your clients have hired you to do? And are you doing that job?
Yeah.
And that is where, when they get to that, humility might be a part of that, right? When you get to and understand that, it will allow them to actually scale their business better because they're implementing services and solutions that their clients want and need and doing it in a way that is adding value to that client. So I think there's a long way to go. But then there's a lot of technologies out there that are doing the work that an advisor doesn't want to do. I mean, advisors are not attorneys.
Yeah.
So companies like wealth.com are solving for that unique problem. So now they can go and have deep conversations about estate planning because they've got a technology they can leverage to get there. So I think part of the problem was that it was so time cumbersome on an advisor to do these other parts of planning that it was hard for them to deliver that. So I think in the next few years, advisors who adopt a technology that will help them focus on these deep planning conversations will significantly excel.
Yeah. And it seems to me that even with the technology that's out there, great technology that's available to advisors, there still is a attitude of, well, we're going to throw estate planning onto the menu, right? And because, we plug into wealth.com over here, we're going to throw it on the menu and there we go. We're off to the races. We're now suddenly estate planning practice, right? But it doesn't work that way. I mean, there's got to be some education, right? There's got to be some kind of like teaching the advisor how to recognize estate planning issues when they arise. If they're having a conversation with a client and the client says something like, well, husband just sold a business and, there's this thing going on, whether the advisor can recognize, oh, that's an issue for a trust. That's going to solve that issue. I don't think most advisors would recognize it.
I think you're right. It's because they're busy.
Yeah.
Right. So it's having the time, to your point, to recognize these opportunities and then either having the knowledge yourself or having access to somebody who has that knowledge. Like, I believe that advisors need to start to become expert coordinators of experts. Because you cannot be an expert in all of the topics of financial planning. You should have a knowledge of them, but when you need to go deep, pull in an expert who can solve that challenge for your client. But to your point, you do need to be able to uncover it and taking the time to learn those things and make sure that you capture those opportunities because that your client's giving you an opportunity to better serve them. So if you capture that, then they're feeling heard, they're feeling seen, their problems are being solved, and you're creating a raving fan. So now you're also, getting referrals from that end client. So it is to your point, like a multifaceted approach, but like you got to leverage the technology to free up the time to be able to do the work to uncover these things.
Yes, and then to be the curator of the experts.
Yes.
Advisors that partner with you guys have, they're probably already on this journey, right? Because they recognize, and that's why they find you or why you find them. Maybe it's worth talking a little bit about how you do find the advisors that you partner with. I know you have some folks out there in the field that are, talking to advisors all the time. That's probably one way. Are you finding advisors starting to come to you? Like,
yeah,
how are you finding
them? I think it's kind of like everything in life, it depends, and it's a multifaceted approach. But we are finding advisors who are coming to us because they have hit a ceiling of complexity. They want to be able to own and tell their story in the way that they want to. They want to build their business in the way that they want to. And they also want to work with more exciting, complex clients, but they don't have access to an estate planning expert, a life insurance expert, we have 12 CFAs on our team. So it's hard to build that when you are one advisor. So I think that we're a really great home for advisors who want to have control over their business, but have access to a team of experts who can support them and allow them to do what makes them uniquely them. And so that's been great for us. The other thing is, for us, it's our organic growth story.
Yeah.
M&A is great, but it's obviously very expensive and it's very competitive. And so for those advisors who want to grow their business, but maybe don't want to do it through inorganic growth, the CPA story resonates really well.
The firms that you work with, or maybe just think more in general, they make these decisions about, do I become a curator of experts and refer that business out? Or do I bring those experts under the roof and own those experts and keep that revenue in-house? I know your model's a little bit different, but in general, how are advisors thinking about making that decision? Outsourcing versus building versus buying?
Yeah, it is a unique challenge for advisors because most advisors built their business from the ground up. So they feel they have to control the components of the business because it's their baby. And so they want to build versus outsource, but building is very expensive and takes them away from being an advisor. Now I have to manage more people. Now I have to make sure we've got the workflows and the systems and all of those things. So, I think that you can't be all things to all people. So you've got to outsource where you feel comfortable and then build where it adds to your unique abilities and your unique stories. So advisors really have to think about, what do I want for myself? Who am I? Who are the clients that I'm serving? What challenges are they facing? And within that, do I have the right expertise on my team or within myself to serve them? And if not, where do I feel most comfortable? And so that's kind of a journey for them to figure out, but something that we talk to advisors a lot, because when you're living within your unique ability and you're doing things that you love, you're having more success because you're happier and people can see that, and you're telling great stories about the problems that you're solving for people, and you're getting people excited about what's happening within your business that they want to tell other people about it.
And it probably solves for that the crisis of differentiation, right?
Yes.
In their markets. One RIA starts to the client anyway, looks like every other RIA.
It does.
We know that they're not, but to the client's perspective, it kind of does. So, bringing in those services, or at least having that on the menu of some sort, or, access to, right, gives them an edge. Is there, when you guys are building out your network or partnering with the firms that you do partner with, do you think about this at all? Do you think about geographic, dispersion? And would you want to partner firms like on the same main street in the same town? Because you're kind of giving them the same service, right? There's, they're accessing the same kind of back office, the same, platform that you have. So how are they making that, differentiation, distinction? Do you guys approach this in any way? Do you think about this? Or is it just, am I off?
It's a great question, and really makes sense to think about as like a question to ask a firm like ours, but we don't think about it that much. Okay. And the reason we don't is because we're focusing on entrepreneurs who want to build their business. So you and I can both own a financial services company and both be entrepreneurs, but you want something different than I want, and we could be right next door to each other. Sure. So but
can we be on your platform right next door to each other?
Why not? Yeah. Because the way that you engage with us and the way that I engage with Integrated are two completely different things. Okay. Because we believe that you need a coach to take you to where you want to go. Okay. But throughout your business journey, like you might be at the beginning, I really need to lean into operations and fix my ops. Then you've got the ops down, but now I want to tell my story different. I need to lean into the marketing team. Okay, now I want to get better at estate planning. I want to work with a planning team. Now I want to help businesses, value their business and create enterprise value. So I got to lean into the business owner team. So throughout our advisors' life cycles, they're engaging with different components of integrated for different reasons that best serve their business.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
And we create a culture of coordination, collaboration. There's an abundance of clients out there. And so if you know who you are and what you want for yourself, like we have advisors right now in the same office that have their own businesses, and they share stories and ideas, and they love that they have somebody to talk to.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. We talked a little bit about the inorganic growth and how expensive it is for M&A. The advisors that you work with, how do you help them with organic growth? How is organic growth being done in this industry right now? Because we know that it's basically flat, maybe up a little bit. I hear 2%, I hear 4%. I don't know what it is. Industry-wide.
Yeah.
But organic growth, it seems to me, is the thing that people are really beginning to talk about a lot more. It's a lot of reasons for like the valuations that they need to, match for whatever investor they have. And I know you guys don't have that issue, right? You guys are completely self-funded. You don't have any PE money. But how are your advisors that you work with thinking about organic growth?
Well, we do talk to them about it a ton. So this year we are in a famous Matt Ackerman analogy year where we are talking to advisors, what are you doing from acquisition, retention, and expansion of wallet share? So, we believe that retention is key to future growth, and advisors that retain their clients will create raving fans. Raving fans will bring their network. So that is an organic growth from referrals. We are lucky enough to have, Matt Ackerman, our chief marketing officer, Becca Zuffin, who helps our advisors tell really great stories. Because as we all know, it's stories that get people to take action. So let me talk to you about this unique problem that we have solved for this client and what we have done. And they've really helped advisors to create the opportunity to have these personalized reach outs. Hey, I was thinking of you about XYZ, and that creates open conversations and people feel cared for and listened to and all of those things. So there's that, marketing component of it. And then it's the CPAs. And so how do we partner our advisors with CPAs? And then when they're in a CPA firm, how are we helping them to grow that revenue? And we do that through very intentional coaching of our advisors and our CPAs so they can really work together well.
And I imagine a lot of the clients that you're working with and the CPAs that you're working with, we're not talking about just filing 1040s annually.
No.
We're maybe more complex tax situations. In this, I think a lot of advisors are have a desire to go up the high net worth ladder, which then you get more complex tax situations, more, how are you, you say coaching people? I think part of the, what happened with you being promoted to president and frees up, I think, Paul to do some of this, right? Yes. So I think his next thing is going to be high net worth tax planning for advisors.
For sure. And that is what he loves to do. And we were excited. We have an advisor in a partnership now, and he got referred to his single largest client. And he was like, what do I do? And so it was great for Paul to get involved and coach this advisor and help them through the process so he could bring in his single largest client. And those are things we love to do. And then you get excited about your business as that advisor. He's just so pumped about where his future is. But we talked to the CPAs, their challenge is their highest revenue generating clients are business owners. But when that business owner goes to sell, it becomes their lowest revenue generating client. But by working with an advisor, and then they can manage the assets after the business is sold, they can maintain that status of a highest revenue generating client. So when we go in and start talking to our CPAs, hey, what are the challenges you're facing, CPA firm? Here's how we can help you solve for them. So then they are focusing on referring us to the types of clients that our advisors want to work with.
Interesting. You talked a little bit about AI a little bit and technology and how it's creating efficiencies. Can you give me maybe either the advisors that you work with or stories that you've heard in general where this is actually coming into play, right? Where there's an example of how technology is helping an advisor become more efficient, freeing up time.
Yes,
spend with their clients.
Absolutely. So we are working with Jump.
So
Jump is a AI technology that takes meeting notes, consolidates your meeting notes, and then puts the tasks into your CRM for you. And we have seen amazing results from leveraging Jump, even from the perspective of impactful client meeting note follow-up, because Jump, organizes the notes in a clean way, the way that you want it, with clear follow-up, and it makes the process so easy for an advisor. So now this is coming out, could be the same day as your meeting versus days later. So that's been a great tool, because most advisors hate doing their client meeting notes. So it's taking you away from something that you don't like to do and taking that process from hours to minutes. So that's been great. The other thing we've been doing is leveraging ChatGPT for strategic business planning and thinking. And so as we do our planning with our advisors and team members for next year, we're taking our plan and then we're going into AI and saying, hey, you're a strategic business coach. This is advisor situation. Here's their goal for 2025. Here's their plan to get to that goal. Ask me 5 questions to help me understand what gaps we have within that goal.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah. And it's wild, the thoughtful questions that come out of it.
Yeah. It's like an AI coach in a way. It's like a little bit, or, a consultant of sort.
Totally.
And we say, they put their business plan into ChatGPT. It's just simply like, I have X number of clients. I want to get to X number of clients, or I have this kind of revenue. I want to get to this revenue. What is, when you talk about a business plan that you're going to put in there, what does that look like? Yeah.
I mean, so like I said, it's different for each person, what it is. And you got to be careful because you can't put PII and things like that into ChatGPT. So it's much more broad than the really deep dive. Hey, I want to get to, here's my goal. And here are the 3 things I'm going to do to get there. Okay. And then it will come back with questions about it and help you think through, like, what are the key activities I need to do to get to that goal? And is the activities that I say I'm going to do, am I going to reach that goal because of that? So it just, AI, I think, is a great collaborator. I want to go write an email for a client, but I'm stuck on how to start it or what to say. And so you can put that in and it just gets you thinking. So I think right now, you got to be careful with AI, but if you're using it as a tool just to help you think better or free up your mind, it's great. I mean, you still got to research things it says and all of that jazz, but it's just it's like having a friend to talk to.
Yeah, weirdly, right? Yeah.
And sometimes advisors lack that. They don't have another person that they can talk to about things.
That's very true. They're often in a silo. Have you been looking at any of the AI ChatGPT-like applications that are built specifically for these kinds of purposes or with guardrails around them? I know nothing about it, but I'm told that there are, AI applications that can come with these kind of guardrails. So if you did put some client information in there, it doesn't bleed out into the larger big brain of, whatever. It kind of stays in-house.
Yeah, not today.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because, we definitely want to make sure that we are protecting the organization and we're doing the right thing. So not today, but you never know.
Yeah. Anything else that's on the horizon? I mean, we talked about the move into coaching for high net worth tax planning as a growth initiative for integrated. Anything else for integrated that is a growth initiative? Anything else that you're looking at?
Yeah, so the last would be operations. And people don't always talk about operations as a growth initiative. But if you're freeing up your time, and as long as you're using it for then to go do those personalization and other things, it truly is like the jumping off point for growing your business. So we're doing a lot of work with our advisors through technology, so they don't need to talk to their team about things. And when I say things, hey, did this get done? Did you do this? Move money? How's the onboarding going? So that they have a dashboard that is unique to them, that gives them the data and the information that they need to run their business and feel good about that, and then helps their team have the data and information that they need to operate the business. So then they can talk to their team members about exciting things, projects, and not constantly get dragged back into the whirlwind of running a business. So really tightening up and helping our advisors clean up those operational systems is a big focus for us next year.
Okay. And this is going to be accomplished by, you have a suite of solutions, I guess. I don't really like the word solution, but technology or, things that the advisors can use. Can you tell me a little bit about what that looks like? Yeah.
So Invent is helping us with this. Okay. Because one of our problems that we created for ourselves was we said, as long as it is secure and has governance and we've vetted the technology and approved it, our advisors can leverage the technology that best serves their business. Mm-hmm. So people are using a bunch of different technologies.
But all tied into that Invent, right?
So Invent will bring it together for them, because one of the biggest challenges is, at Advisor, I've got to log in here to get this piece of data, then I'm logging in here to get this piece of data, then I'm going over here. So we're just
notorious fractured tech stack.
Correct. Yeah. So we are, with the help of Invent, bringing that all together.
Interesting. And that's, we hear a lot about it used to be an all-in-one platform, and that was broken apart into millions of different pieces because advisors had to be unique and use they wanted different CRMs, different platforms, different trading platforms, whatever. And now, because of all the fractured, kind of coming back together, and there's been more kind of all-in-one platforms coming out again. Yes. But it sounds like what you're doing with Invent is kind of keeping that variety and choice, but with a solution for that. The APIs dropping off and the logins dropping off and the site screen scraping for you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's all working together.
Yes. And that's what we loved about Invent, is that it allowed us to be kind of technology agnostic, but still operationally efficient.
Yeah. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. Anything else that's on the horizon, I guess, in the industry overall that you see that is on your radar that you're interested in, or that you think could have some implications that maybe we're not talking about enough?
I do think the adoption of AI and what people do with their time is going to be something interesting to pay attention to. Okay. I think there's a lot of advisors who will hone and get better at their craft and set themselves apart from those who don't leverage the time given to them through technology. And that's great, because that might be what that person wants for themselves. But I think it'll create a lot more specialization, which is really what clients are asking the advisors for anyway. So I think it'll be an exciting time for advisors to really hone in on who they want to be and what do they want to do, and focus on their unique abilities.
That's fantastic. All right, Andree, thanks very much for joining us on the RIA Edge podcast. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This was fun. Thank you.
Schwab Advisor Services is a proud supporter of the RIA Edge podcast and independent financial advisors like you. When it comes to your independence, Schwab Advisor Services is all in. They provide industry-leading custody services with no AUM minimums, no custody fees, and digital onboarding for starters. With Schwab, you'll be backed by some of the most passionate folks in the industry with over 35 years of experience helping firms of all sizes. To learn more about everything Schwab can do for you, visit advisorservices.schwab.com.